Where's your other hand? Between two pillows. Those aren't pillows.
Welcome to Mindful Self-Indulgence. This is not the official theme song, but I paid $5 for this track, so I'm going to use the hell out of it while I still can. This episode brought to you by theartofguitar.com. Make all your dreams come true. Learn how to play. Okay, that's good. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the very first podcast. I'm calling this one the Mindful Self-Indulgence podcast because I like the band Mindless Self-Indulgence, but I thought about it. I'm like, man, this podcast is going to be just very self-indulgent. But then I thought, at least I'm aware that it's going to be that way. So in a way, I feel like it's okay to be that, self-indulgent as long as you're aware that you're doing it. It's kind of like it's okay to be crazy as long as you know you're crazy. The day you don't know you're crazy, that's the problem. Anyways, thanks for joining us. I think some people are going to think that this is going to be a guitar podcast, but the reason I said it's going to be so indulgent is because it's going to be about anything that I'm interested in. And there's a lot of things that I'm into that a lot of people might not be into, but I thought it'd make more of an interesting podcast if I didn't just do a guitar podcast, for example, because there's tons of topics to cover, but I really feel like a big part of my teaching is not just playing guitar, teaching guitar, even talking about guitar players, but it's more about philosophy behind things and the reason we do anything. That's why I really like doing martial arts and just trying to master different things because I like the journey of it. And I think guitar's the same way. And it kind of gives us all a reason to come together. And a lot of my friends I've found through music, which is great. But when we hang out, we don't talk about guitars and stuff. It's kind of interesting. You'd think musicians would get together and discuss guitars and music and all that. But typically we just talk about other things. So I kind of want this to be a forum for that. And I'll be bringing on, special guests, whether it's my friends, other musicians, martial artists, people that are into certain TV shows that I'm into, like Stranger Things or Buffy or whatever, whatever it's going to be. There's a whole bunch of TV shows I like. And, there's a lot of cool podcasts about individual niche, or niche, I don't know which one's correct, topics, but I feel like if I stuck with just one, it could only go so far and then I would maybe get bored with it. So I really want to expand it to different topics and keep myself interested as well as everybody else. And hopefully we can cover something that's interesting to you. And then if we talk about another topic later on, like if I bring in somebody to talk about the TV show Frasier or something, it doesn't mean that, I'm going to lose my entire audience who like just guitar, because I think there's going to be a lot of other conversations going on besides, just what we say we're going to discuss. So think of each topic that we come up with as just a starting point, and then hopefully it can evolve from there. Like my friend and I, we go to Buffalo Wild Wings, B-dubs, I think they call it, every once in a while, and we'll just have a beer and talk about life. I think sometimes it's really hard to have in-depth conversations with people. If you have a normal job and you're, just doing your thing, and then you come home and maybe you just want to relax, sometimes people seem to miss out on just being able to talk deeply about anything and not get in an argument. It seems like these days, if you want to talk about politics or religion or whatever, people are they have their minds made up so much that it's hard to really have a good conversation about things. So I want this to be a place where people can speak openly, and I consider myself kind of in the middle of a lot of things. So I'm not going to be trying to disprove people or argue with them necessarily. I might get to that, but a lot of it's just going to be trying to get deep with things and try to find the truth in things if that's what it calls for at the time. Or we'll just talk about whiskey or something, It's just whatever we're into. Today, to start the show off, what I want to do, I want to kind of keep my promise. I said once we hit 100,000 subscribers, we would do a Q&A. And I actually filmed one. By the way, if you hear crackling in the background, there's a candle that I just got a while ago for a gift, for a birthday present, and it crackles when it burns. So don't worry, the place isn't going up in flames or anything like that. But anyways, I shot an entire video with a Q&A, and I thought, God, this is the lamest video I've ever made, because it really lends itself to more of a, an audio, like a podcast scenario than a video, because it was just me looking at a piece of paper and trying to answer questions to a camera. So that was really bizarre. So with the podcast, it's going to be great because I don't have to edit it together like I do the videos. I could just talk freely, have my guests speak, and we can just have a conversation, which will be nice. But in this case, I'm just going to open up the YouTube page. By the way, thank you to all the subscribers. It was a huge surprise to go from 30,000, which we had for a long time, to, I think we're up to, let's see. You're going to hear me clicking around quite a bit too. Oh, my girlfriend just sent a picture of her puppy. Okay, we are up to 133,338 subscribers. And what's really crazy is the 12,600,000 views. I think that's just crazy. We had the simple scale video go to 2 million this month, or this week actually, and that was a really big surprise when that happened. So you probably noticed if you watch that video that it's from a long time ago, I think about 7 years ago now. And that was a big shock when it started getting numbers, because the first time we released it, we called it the secret scale. And so many people gave me crap about that. I got so much hate for it because everyone's like, oh, who doesn't know the minor pentatonic scale? But what I really meant to say about that is that a lot of people who start out on guitar don't really know the power of one simple scale. So after thinking about it for a while, I changed it to the simple scale. But people still roll their eyes at that too. But for the most part, I just wanted to show if you learn one thing on guitar, you could really expand it to many things. And in this case, it was different styles. And my friend who edited the video together actually didn't sync the audio up correctly. So there's a couple times when I'm soloing where it's offbeat and stuff. So it's an old video. We were trying to find our wings, I think that's the saying. But either way, it's up to 2 million views now, which is just crazy to think about. 2 million people watched my goofy looking face. So it's very strange. Okay, let's look at the channel here. We have the new video called The L Shape That Unlocks Chord Progressions. I know that sounds a little bit clickbaity, but it's true. It's a shape that you can visualize when you're playing, and it can start to unlock the chords for you. Hopefully you guys went to the main website and checked out the T shape as well. I have to go all the way back here to the 100,000 subscriber video. And one thing I'm not afraid of with this podcast is space. So if there's some gaps going on, I'm not going to edit them together. Like there's a guy who does, I think his name's Philip DeFranco or something. He does like video logs, I don't know what it's called, where he just reads the headlines and talks about current events. And he, I guess, edits out every breath. So it's like bam, 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 bam. And I just don't want that for the podcast, because I want it to feel like something you're just sort of listening to feel comfortable. It's not going to be like salesman-y, hopefully. Like, hey, everybody, be sure you do this. I'm not going to do any of that crap. Trying to keep it real, Okay, here it is. Okay, so I'm going to go through as many comments as I can. And if there's any questions that I can answer, because it was supposed to be, like I said, a Q&A, I will answer them. Some of these questions I can't answer because I have to show you. Like if somebody asks how to do a technique, I'll have to show you, so I can't do that here. And I'm drinking water tonight in the background, just so you know. Okay. It looks like a lot of people like the spider exercise. It helped them out, so cool. A lot of great comments. By the way, like I said, we get a lot of hate comments too. Some of them I don't post. Some of them are hilarious. Like this guy the other day just said, die. And then his very next comment was, oh, by the way, can you do the Iron Maiden technique video? I thought that was kind of a Jekyll and Hyde thing. It was hilarious. Somebody asked if I could show all the guitars that I have. And, for the most part, I think I've shown them all in the videos. My main guitar is my Fender Deluxe Strat, and I'm going to have that upgraded soon with brand new pickups. Got the Gibson SG, which a lot of people thought was a fake Gibson because it looks bizarre. I think I'm going to get rid of the zebra pickups, though, because I don't really like the look of those. I think I'm going to go all white for that. My other Fender Strat, it was a Roadhouse Strat that I finally put a rosewood neck on and resurrected it, thank God. The Jazzmaster, that's the one I used in the Beatles video, and a lot of people wondered why I used that for the Beatles video, but it's my only really classic sounding guitar. The new Ibanez, which is just this really skinny, fast guitar that I'm finally able to play all my old shred techniques on. It's kind of nice. And then I just recently purchased a Martin acoustic. Oh, I've got a Telecaster too. That's what I'm going to be breaking in. So if you guys hear me playing in the background, it's just me trying to break these strings in here. Not break the strings, hopefully, but I decided to go with light gauge on this because I've been doing a lot of Brad Paisley type licks, and I found out that he uses 10 gauge, but for some reason this particular telly has a real stiffness to it. So I'm going to play it real hard, and I'm going to play 9 gauges on them so that they really have that snappiness to them. And hopefully by the time I really break this guitar in, I can go back to 10s, because I love 10s, and I just bought a 12-pack. It's funny, I was at Guitar Center, I paid $50 for it, and I found out that they're actually supposed to be $30. They just put up the sign early or something like that. So it's a super interesting story. I know that I went back and got my money back, so yeah. Let's see. Okay, some more questions. Oh, what strings do you use? That's funny. Diodario XLs for now. They never break on me. Of course, I don't let them get old like I used to. Back when I first started guitar, you would leave strings on for months and months, and then they'd get rusty, and next thing you know, you had to get a tetanus shot every time you played. It was crazy. Okay, more good stuff. Somebody asked what kind of Ibanez it is, and sadly, I do not know the model on it. I did, but I forget things a lot. Something with an F or something. Fender or Gibson? I would say both. Let's see. People keep saying I'm the nicest dude, but they don't really know me. But I am nice. What can I get for $400 is for a tube amp. I'm not the guy to ask about amps. I bought a Fender Deluxe Reverb years ago, and it's been my favorite amp, but besides that, I don't play a bunch of different kinds of amps, you know. I do have a Fender, finally, 800. A Marshall GCM 800, and that thing's really great for like the Motley Crue tribute that I play in, and a lot of the rock recordings I did the Black Sabbath tribute, the video for Tony Iommi, and I used the 800 for that, so that was a lot of fun. Somebody wants me to do an Eric Clapton video. For sure, we'll do that. One of the first CDs I ever got was a Clapton CD. It was Timepieces, I believe. And that was so crazy to have tapes my whole life, cassette tapes. And all of a sudden, my dad hands me this crazy shining mirror, circular mirror thing. And he put it in this sideways CD player thing. And he played it, and I remember hearing, just like scanning through, I couldn't believe I can go from each song to each song. And I was like, there's no way. And then I remember looking at it. He was like, yeah, the laser beams hit this, and somehow music comes out of it. It was just, it was like seeing a spaceship for the first time. That's how old I am. All right. Space. It's like I can't read my comments or the questions on here and do the podcast at the same time. I'm not experienced yet. Like Jimi Hendrix. Why would anyone hate someone who gives a free lesson? You'd be surprised, man. You put out anything on YouTube and you're going to get hate. I always say, like, even Jesus could just go on YouTube and say, love each other, and someone would say, dude, you're gay. All right, let's see. Okay, looks like this isn't going to really... Oh, first lick you ever learned. Way before I officially started guitar, my grandma bought us a bunch of instruments and put it in the garage one summer. And my cousin was a big part of my learning because he was into Kiss and he was into playing guitar and everything. And he left his guitar over because my grandma like I said, bought it for all of us. And I picked it up, and I remember trying to play the melody line to So Happy Together by the Turtles. So let's see, it was something like... That's all the further I got. I think I couldn't figure out the rest of it. But surprisingly, I did it on one string back then, but it really helped me understand the distance between frets and how to make things kind of come to life. And I think that led to just going like, like Mary Had a Little Lamb, Happy Birthday, and all that. Oh, real quick, I have to add this quick story. So my grandma, like I said, left all those instruments in the garage, and we tried to start a band. And my cousin, obviously, he was like the outgoing one. He was the singer and guitar player. I believe I played the drums. And my little brother, I think, was on keys or something. We had like this weird organ that blew air. It was really cool. And my poor sister, we didn't have a bass guitar, but we said, you're going to be the bass guitar player. And she just stood there with a guitar, and we said, okay, only play a couple of the strings. And we never plugged her in. And she's like, how come you never plugged me in to the amp? And we're like, well, you never hear the bass player anyway. So that was our interpretation of what a bass player was. It was just someone who stood there and played something that wasn't even plugged in. Okay, back to the main story. And when I did eventually get a guitar from when my brother came home with one and I started playing it behind his back, I remember playing the one riff a lot. So I'd be like, of course, back then I played it wrong. Played it like that. But it really taught me, about playing notes across the strings. And then, of course, by the way, my guitar's not plugged in. I'm not trying to have you hear my guitar, but hopefully you can hear it in the background. Then my friend was playing, he was taking guitar lessons when we were about 12, and he kept playing Rock You Like a Hurricane. So he kept going, like that. And then the main riff, of course. I'm out of tune. And I was so impressed that you could do all that with just one chord shape. So I think that's when my fascination with techniques started happening, because I'm like, man, with that one technique, you can play all that stuff. And then, of course, that led to playing Metallica for 8 hours a day. All right, let's just do a few more questions and wrap this up. Trying to think of what the next podcast it's going to be, what it's going to be about. It might actually just be whatever friend is available at the time. We'll have to do a episode on that. So if my jiu-jitsu friend is free, maybe I'll have him come down. If my bass player friend is free, maybe he can come down. We could talk about prog rock or something. We'll figure it out. Okay, let's just do one last question. Some people aren't even speaking English, man. I'm not even talking about like another language. I'm just talking about really bad English. It's really weird. Somebody said OSS, O-S-S, which is a jiu-jitsu term, if you ever wonder. Which is funny because no one in jiu-jitsu actually says OS to each other. It's just been kind of this funny side joke or something. Maybe they do in Brazil. I have no idea. Okay, somebody was asking about how I first got into guitar. It's not that exciting. I mean, my brother bought a guitar and amp for $150. It was this Harmony guitar, and it was like a Les Paul shape, and a PV amp, which actually wasn't an amp. It was a huge PA speaker, basically. And so we would hook it up, and it was just the loudest thing ever. The whole house would shake, and there was never any distortion coming out of it. It was like the loudest, cleanest amp I've ever heard. I wish I still had it. I could use it as a PA speaker now. But the first day I bought a distortion pedal, I was in heaven, because finally this huge amp sounded like Metallica. I just had to go to a pawn shop and buy a heavy metal pedal. I remember the Boss heavy metal pedal. And my friend was kind of being a jerk, man. Like, we were driving home, and I was so excited. I had this pedal in my hands, holding it, looking at it like it's a newborn baby or something. And he grabs it. He's like, let me check it out. And he knew how much I liked it, and he held it out the window, and he was like, as the car was rolling, because his mom was driving us, he would throw it up and down, and he would catch it. He'd be like, yeah. So, man, yeah, it's kind of one of those things I'll never forget. But he was just messing around. But, man, that was intense. And I couldn't, like, attack him, because then he would drop the pedal. It was just, frustrating. I still get kind of weird about it. I am not going to sit and read any more questions. I apologize, everybody. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm indexing all of the lessons on the main site onto an index page because I had a couple people email me with concerns about, hey, if I really want to learn one thing, I got to be able to find it quicker because my whole website's laid out in like lessons order. So, hey, learn this first, then this. But sometimes somebody wants to just come in and learn how to tap or something. So I'm going to put things in alphabetical order on an index page. So anybody out there that's subscribed to our main website, theartofguitar.com, that's coming up probably tonight. It's the night before Thanksgiving, so I have some free time tonight to get this done. And then look forward to that. And if you guys want to get a hold of me and ask any other questions, you can either go on one of the videos because I check all the comments as much as possible. Also, we have our own website up now for the podcast. It's the Mindful Self/Indulgence.com. And that's all it is. It's just Mindful Self-Indulgence, but it's going to have a dash between self and indulgence.com. And then I'm going to set it up so you can contact me through there. So if you guys have any concerns about the YouTube page, the website, the podcast, anything, just let me know, okay? And if you want to as well, drop me some suggestions on future episodes because I just want to keep this kind of going while I do everything else, just as a way of talking about anything I'm interested in. So thank you for putting up with my self-indulgence, my mindful self-indulgence, hopefully. And thanks for listening to the very first pilot episode. We'll catch you guys soon, okay? See ya.